Joining us now to respond to Martin's comments is RNC Chair Joe Gruters. Joe, thanks for joining us tonight. Off the top here, we look at these blue-purple states. You're leading the RNC here. What is the RNC doing different, new, unique in these states to try to flip these seats in a really important off-cycle race?
Well, thanks so much for having me on. But listen, we've been on the ground in both Virginia and New Jersey for the last 7 months, preparing for these last couple of days in terms of our get out the vote efforts, in terms of election integrity, in terms of recruiting numerous attorneys on the ground, numerous poll workers, poll watchers. And listen, what you've seen just in the last couple of days is the president and all of our Republican forces have put even more money behind our efforts to turn out our votes, because that's what's going to come down to. We have to have Republicans show up on Election Day if our candidates are going to have a chance.
I'm so happy to hear that. Also, a question for you on election integrity. So I think last year so many Republicans were so happy to see how active the RNC was in election integrity efforts. And for some folks, too big to rig made all the difference, even if it was just their perception. It was important. So as we're heading into these races and looking forward to 2026, what is the RNC doing and what are they investing to make sure that those election integrity issues continue?
Well, the president it always tells me when I talk to him that election integrity is by far the most important issue that we need to focus on. And we've been playing an active role. Like I said, we've already been on the ground in both these states for over 7 months with teams. In every single cycle since the 2020 cycle, we've improved our processes. We're improving our systems to make sure that we ensure that we're protecting the vote. And we have one citizen, one vote, and we're not going to stop. We're going to continue to expand our efforts. We're going to go into states, all states. And listen, we have 92 active lawsuits. We're not taking the back seat. We're now being aggressive in our efforts to make sure that we're taking the fight everywhere we can to make sure that we're protecting the system, to make sure we make it as easy as possible to vote and as hard as possible to cheat.
Hey, Joe, it's Joe Concha. President Trump's team reportedly considering holding a GOP midterm convention in Las Vegas next year. They say the event will be a chance to highlight Trump's agenda, tout the Republican congressional candidates. Republicans hope to hold on to a narrow majority in the House. It's something like 3 seats right now. So with polls showing next year's midterms could be a toss-up. Is this a good idea? Because I think it's a great idea, because Democrats may do the same thing as far as getting out there and doing what's basically a mini RNC and obviously putting all the big stars of the Republican Party up in front of the American people with millions watching at home.
I agree 100%. And listen, we're 2-39 in the last 41 cycles in these off-cycle elections. And so we have to change the narrative. We have to do things different if we expect to win. And listen, the president is probably the best salesman in chief that we've ever had as a party chairman. But what we're going to do is we're going to highlight all the policies that the president's pushing. There's been nobody in the history of our country that's done more in the first 250 days than what President Trump has done. The no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, additional child care tax credits. He is literally delivering for the average everyday American. And if we could highlight that over a couple of days, it's going to be phenomenal. Now, no details have been, stamped and they're not complete. And so I'm looking forward, just like you, to finalizing everything and making sure that we have a system in place so we could highlight everything great that the president does. Because if our candidates follow the president's lead, we're going to win big.
Chairman, looking ahead to next Tuesday's elections, do you guys see Virginia and New Jersey, some of these races, as a bellwether for next year's midterm elections? And do you see them also as a sort of indication about how the public is feeling about the Trump administration's agenda?
Yeah, absolutely not, because these are two heavily blue states, and in reality, it's like the Democrats, if they were to say that a Virginia race or an Alaskan race that the Republicans had, if we made it competitive, I would flip it and say the fact that these races are competitive, the fact that Jack Chiarelli has done such a great job as on the door of potentially winning that New Jersey race if we get out the votes, I think that's a telltale sign for the Democrats that the fact that they're continuing to follow these woke policies, they haven't learned their lesson from the 2024 cycle. They continue to embrace this extremist woke agenda, and people are tired of it. People want the policies that the president pushes for the average everyday American, and as a result, I think we're going to be successful. But listen, this is no indication of what's going to happen in 2026, but I think it's exciting the fact that our candidates have closed this gap and that Jack Ciattarelli is literally on the ground. I look forward to campaigning with both of them over the next couple of days.
RNC Chairman Joe Gruters, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Still ahead.